everyone, and welcome to our time today. I'm Lori Lamantia, and I'm here with the wonderful Trisha Fisk.
Good morning, everybody.
And welcome. Today is our topic is time for a new start. And with all of the celestial activity that's been going on, you might be aware of it. There was a solar eclipse, a partial solar eclipse over the weekend. But there's a lot of energy flying around just in general, and it's new start energy. And so we thought, why not capitalize on this new start energy and talk about it and really bring it forward to help us realize that the old stuff that is ended and the new possibilities are like spring. They're ready, they're blooming, they're gonna bloom. It's just that, we don't always see every flower that is starting to pop up through the ground. So in the new freshness, the new fresh energy, we look at things differently than we did in the old ended energy. And so that gives rise to a possibility for new kinds of wishing. And so I'm going to turn it over to Trisha and let her talk a little bit more about this new start and the different kind of wishing that we could be doing.
Right. So, one of the things we want to think about in this cycle is new beginnings and self awareness and redefining your self identity through awareness. Lori and I had talked before about the um, road, the changing of the road going a different direction. And so that's something to think about here too. I mean, there is a lot of movement going on. And one of the things that can help is if you think about what kind of restful rituals really spark your interest and your enthusiasm. And that's a conversation, Lori, we were talking about before we started. There's the what I think I should do.
Hmm.
There's the my head says and Google tells me this is
Right?
what I should do and where I
Yeah.
should go. And there's the honest feeling of moving in a direction that really like gets you excited and makes you feel happy. And
Right. You just put your hand over your heart. It
yeah,
just speaks to your heart. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And really, so really paying attention to those things and starting your new beginnings. That's really starting and beginning from a place of self-awareness. What really makes me happy? What sparks my excitement and my enthusiasm? So growth through mindfulness and paying attention to what you really want. So in this moment for this particular cycle, it's not so much about the shadow stuff. It's more
Fixing it.
about,
Yeah, cleaning it
yeah,
up. Yeah, no.
right. It's more about, right, going outside and watching the daffodils open up. And the other day I was driving around and all the magnolia trees have buds on them
Right.
now. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this morning I looked out my living room window and there was three deer standing there just looking around.
Wow.
I swear I
Right.
made eye contact with one.
Brilliant. That's cool. I
So
want
it's,
to
yeah,
pull you back a little bit because I
okay.
think what you said about awareness about what really speaks to my heart. And we were before we started, you were telling me about, the work that you're doing with therapists and how I want you to tell that story, but because when you were talking about it, you were saying, maybe I'll go back to school. And you had that awareness that going back to school and doing therapy that way might not be as um, aligned with who you are now. That's the old Trisha, maybe, with this new Trisha that is actually considering, what aspect of therapy is speaking to my heart and what parts of that do I want to bring forward, but not necessarily go to school, which I thought was really a good way to kind of exemplify what you were saying about the old way we might have done something versus the new way. Do you want
Right.
to fill that in a little bit more for people?
Sure. You know, I when I look at again, I've spoken before here about how the yoga world is changing.
Hmm.
It's so the way we did things before doesn't work the same way now. It,
Hmm.
in my opinion, the yoga world is splitting in two directions. One is going more for the fitness side, and the other is going more for the psychological side, the emotional psychological content. So my working mind, and I've worked my whole life, and I was corporate before I started teaching yoga. So my working mind says, go back to school, get a degree, get the certificate.
Right.
And but my sensations in my body don't want to go there. It
Uh,
doesn't
right.
sound, it doesn't sound, it doesn't get me excited to think about that. And part of that is going back to school would mean covering a broad base of classes and topics, not just therapy, but to get a degree, you have to have um, I don't know, science, math, all
Right.
that other
It's
stuff.
complicated.
It's complicated. And so it's how can it's not that I'm looking for a shortcut. I'm just really looking to put my time, energy, mind, body into where I feel the happiest.
Right. Following your highest excitement.
Right,
And yeah, and just because your mind says you should go to school, that doesn't negate it. But as you go through the energy of that, is it really your highest excitement? And that's the question that
right,
people need to be asking themselves as we go through this new beginning cycle, this fresh start cycle. That, what is the highest excitement? And don't judge it because in different
right.
moments, it could be something just I want to play some music, but it also could be I really love, something in this therapy domain. Maybe I'll do a little more investigating, and see if there is an excitement. Um, so I do think that's part of this whole new start thing is getting back to awareness of what does excite us.
Right. That's self awareness. And then a really important thing that you mentioned is not judging it.
Right,
Oh, well, it should be this, or
right,
more practical is this.
right,
It's just right. That real self awareness of what does what does get me excited.
right. One of the things I was journaling over the weekend and I what I journaled was you've been focusing too much on the end instead of the beginning. And when it came out like that, I was like, yeah, I have been focusing on the end. A lot of what's going on in the world right now feels like a big end. A lot of, my youth is coming to an end, whatever. Just so much ending. Um, and I'm like, and then out pops this idea of now it's time to focus on the beginning. And I don't know if people are really feeling that, but I think that's what happens at these these transit cycle times. We get caught in the end of the end and the
Of what's
loss.
ending,
Yeah, of
right?
what's in the change, how much it's changing. And I don't, change is hard. I get it. One of my teachers said, humans, not Americans, humans can only handle 3% change a year. And I'm like, wow. He's like,
Wow.
the rest will blow your circuits. And I'm like, 3%? Oh my gosh.
There's a
So
lot more than 3% change going on
right,
right
right. It
now.
feels like no wonder our circuits are all blowing.
Yeah.
And so it's hard not to see all the things that are ending, see the things that are coming, are just being pulled too. And the opportunity to really move into that. Well, what does this beginning feel like? And wishing doesn't mean necessarily creating a thing. It might just mean you really start to, like you said, check into your heart and what, mm, what is the grace that, the excitement, the juicy thing that speaks to me? And give yourself permission and be courageous to go, I want to go there. I do. It's time. It's time to allow myself to go there.
So it's in this cycle right now. It's a really good time to start to think about that. What would what do you want to start? How do you
Mhm.
start fresh? Um, and it probably will take some courage to do that because, right, it's not
Mhm.
always the practical, laid out way you're supposed to do stuff. Um, does it support your uniqueness
Totally. And
where
that's why
you're
no one
going?
outside can tell you what to do.
It,
You hear all these ideas and then
right,
bring it
right,
back
right,
home, bring it back to your center and be like, hmm, this feels good. That one, not so much. Yes. And you just keep massaging it until, you do a few things and then you check in. Like I thought I wanted to become a CFP, a financial planner, and get my financial planning certificate. And I like, Lori, just take a class, find out, start into it. Because if you don't try something, you don't know if it's for you or not either. So I took the first class. I can say with 100% certainty that's not for me. It's just, I loved everything I learned. I appreciate so much I learned, but that's not my path of, and I don't even think finishing or trying to sit for the test is my path. But I took the step there and I understand now next steps, or at least have idea of different directions, those forks, the
mm-hmm.
forks, I'm getting clarity about the different forks.
Right,
And sometimes
right,
that's the best you could do. You follow that high excitement, you hit a fork. What feels like the next highest excitement?
right. And sometimes that is the path, is trying out things, making decisions about where your heart wants to lead, and sometimes you end up someplace you didn't know you were on the path there.
Right,
You end up being
right.
surprised, right?
I think that's how our souls lead us, is they speak to us through our hearts, not through our head. Our head says, "But this is what society tells you to do, and this
Right.
is how you become successful." And I get all that. And I can't say it didn't work for me. I just think we're in a new time. We are in a very different time. Things are changing tremendously with AI and I mean, obviously, everybody knows the changes that are going on beyond, I mean, not all of them either. We just have schmidges.
Right, right.
Um,
Yeah.
but we know change is happening and, we're navigating as best we can. But the best way to navigate it is, where's my highest excitement? What feels like, ooh, yeah, juicy.
Right. And can I allow myself to move with it?
Right.
Right.
Hmm.
Because my first thought is it should be here. Do I get stuck there, or do I allow myself to keep
Right.
moving with
Right.
it? Right.
Yes. Right. I think it was, I can't remember how, and I don't know if it was Krishnamurti, but you don't want to get stuck on either the shore of fear or the other shore of desire. You want to be flowing with the water that, lets you row your boat gently down the stream. That's the way life was supposed to be. And according to all this astrology and all this energy changing that's coming, which I think most of the quote unquote spiritual community is like, well, when is it going to start getting like beautiful,
Right.
instead of,
Right.
ugh. And the answer is, it is beautiful. And it's in this unfoldment is beautiful and it's happening and and while you allow yourself to be in your excitement, you're giving off the beautiful permission to yourself and others to do the same. And that's
Mm.
how we help affect the energy of change, not by focusing on the end and what's broken, but focusing on what is exciting and fresh and new. And that's the way we, in our own little world, in our own little way, make, I think, tremendous impact and tremendous contribution, even though it's probably might not be what the world considers. But who knows?
Who knows? Right, right.
We
And
can't know yet.
yeah, and again, it's about how you touch people too, who you touch. So, right, maybe it's not a world decision, but maybe there's people around you, your community that you're touching, and giving permission for them to follow their heart too.
Right. Lately, I've just been smiling at people saying hi, hey, or acknowledging them in some way. Oh, your shirt looks pretty. I like the way, or whatever. Just some kind of love energy that, maybe is unexpected. I've been holding doors for people too, it just,
I've been doing that more too.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like, okay, well, what are these little moments that make me happy and I hope make them happy? But if it doesn't, well, I get that. Finding those ways to dance your joy path, I guess, is
right.
is the best we can do right now and
And
allowing
it's
ourselves.
inspiring.
It
Yeah, it's
is,
inspiring to other people when
it
they see
is.
joy and happiness. Right.
Right. And
Yeah,
excitement. And they love talking to you, Well, what are you doing now? Well, I'm trying this, but I don't know what's going to happen, but these are the things I've learned along the way,
right.
You probably need to start a health savings plan. Whatever. Um, so this time and we're in the change, obviously. We're changing.
Yes,
So much
yes,
going on. But this time is an opportunity for a new start, a fresh start. And jumping on your skateboard or in your boat and letting yourself roll, roll, roll down the river and follow your excitement is probably the best thing you could do to give
hmm
yourself the enjoyment of what's coming and to follow the beautiful path.
Well, and to allow yourself to stay present through all of this too, and not just wait for the outcome.
No, no, it's the
Right.
journey. It's the
Yeah.
journey. And there's little wonder spots all along the way. And you won't
Right.
find them unless you put your foot on the street, on the road and go.
Right.
And the way our souls, again, give us the clues is through the heart. The joy of the heart, the excitement in the heart. And the way the head overrides it is, well, you should really go get a degree in, therapeutes. Try getting a degree in therapeutics. That would be way more fun. You know what we're saying, right? We do. You do.
Right.
So do you want to add a little something more here?
I was just going to say again, look for those rituals that spark your interest, that are rejuvenating and get you excited.
Yes, totally. And I noticed when I'm burned out from all the change, I need at least 3 days of nothing. No one, no nothing, no social media, no fixing something. I mean, sometimes we really have to sequester ourselves to give ourselves that space so that the excitement can come back.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
You
That is
know,
true.
I think everybody's kind of on spring break, this week. Really, a day by yourself with where you don't do anything, you don't talk to anyone, you shut the door and you really just be, you'd be surprised how rejuvenating that is. And that's what will lead to that next um moment.
Of that spark.
Yeah, the
Right.
spark.
The
The
spark.
spark is under the dust right now of overwork and overwhelm.
Right. Right. Right.
And the shiny bright like a diamond happens when you get to give yourself permission to dust yourself off and do the rituals that rejuvenate you and take care of yourself
Yes.
and excite you too. So everyone have a wonderful week and give yourself permission to consider that maybe you've been looking at the end too much and we're in the middle of a way cool beginning. What do you want it to look like? What do you want it to feel like? And if it's just filled with excitement and joy, I think that's perfectly a wonderful wish.
Right. Yes. You don't have to know where the end of the journey is. Just feel. Feel into how you want to feel.
Right. And it's usually, right, yes, feel into how you want to feel. That's the that's the way. Lots of love to you all. Namaste.
All right. Swaha.